I you chose a lot of interesting choices that I wouldn't have expected. I'm Austin Butler, and this is Lookbook with British Esquire. And right now, I'm going to walk you through some of my favorite looks. This is the pink suit. So this is from the Louisiana Hayride, which is the moment in the film where Elvis first experiences the keening of the crowd. It's actually, there's this true story that Elvis, when he first went out on stage, he says his eyes were twitching, his shoulders were twitching, his legs were moving, and it was just all coming out of this excitement of the music and some stage fright. And then these girls started screaming, and he didn't know what they were screaming at. And so he asked his manager at the time, "What are they screaming at?" And they said, "Well, it's the way you're shaking and your eyes are twitching and your shoulders moving." And so he says, "I went out there and I did it some more, and I've been doing it ever since." And so that's this moment in the film. And Elvis's favorite colors were pink and black. So, but he's wearing pink in the '50s, which I just think is so brave and awesome. How long did it take to perfect that? I mean, I had a year and a half before I started shooting where I didn't do anything else but obsess about him. So, yeah, it's probably about that amount of time. All right, now we're on to the Met Gala look. So, yeah, this was, Prada made this, and it was, the jacket is this, it's inspired by a bolero jacket that Elvis wore in the '50s, which has sort of a notch right where the buttons attach. And yeah, we were trying to decide which way to go with this, and Prada had this idea of the color black being sort of their theme of all the clothes that they were wearing at the Met that year. And yeah, and then the brooch is Cartier that they had to take it out of the archive. It's one of those pieces that are only in museums and they don't usually let people wear. So I was very honored that they let me wear that. And but there was a security guard there the whole time who just made sure that I didn't lose it because it was one of those priceless pieces. But yeah, that was my first Met, and it was a fun time. It was a really fun night. I was. You never know with nights like that what they're gonna feel like, and I got to meet some people I never met before. Shawn Mendes and I got to hang for a bit when he was very kind and nice, and Lenny Kravitz performed and he was incredible. Who else got to? At our table it was mostly the Elvis table, and Kendall Jenner, and Kendall was very sweet, and that was our first time meeting, so she was very kind. Yeah, it was a good night. Let's see, number 5. Oh, this is from the other day. This is in Cannes. This was at the photo call, the day after the premiere of Elvis, and this is, what am I wearing? I'm wearing the Row here. These Jacques Marie glasses. That's my new favorite watch. I'm loving that Cartier watch. But that was cool. I've always seen these pictures of the photo calls at Cannes, and then you get there and these photographers, they were the most boisterous photographers I've ever encountered. They're screaming the whole time. And when you walk away, they boo. And it's, yeah, so they're really, yeah, quite loud. And I also always feel shy when I get my picture taken. And so, and you know that they'll like capture you mid, like if you start talking, they'll capture you like midway through your talking and capture this awful photo, and that's the one that ends up making it out there. So it always feels so stressful when you're on these red carpets. But you know, I feel like over time I've got more comfortable with it. But this is, yeah, this was a fun day. Oh yeah, this was at CinemaCon. It's a sort of a double denim. I love doing double denim. This is all Celine, although that's a vintage. I think that one. What is this shirt? Yeah, I think that's a vintage denim shirt. I think it's like a Levi's shirt, but everything else is Celine. And yeah, that was one of those outfits that was sort of inspired by Serge Gainsbourg. I love his style, and it was the same with the can look, like the sort of slight flare of the pant, and he also wore a lot of double denim with a double-breasted blazer over the top. And just there's that timeless thing of that period in fashion where you look at the pictures of Paul Newman at the Venice Film Festival, and just how classic and timeless he is, and Brando around that time, and there's that thing where it never feels like there will be a point that they're not classic, and so yeah, I really admire their style. This was the first performance that I filmed in the movie, and this is Elvis's '68 special, and the black leather. Yeah, look at that. It feels so cool being draped in double leather. You can't help but walk different. And I had a lot of fun shooting this. This was one of those scenes that I'd worked for a year and a half before this moment of walking out on stage, and I hadn't lived any other life besides this, and then suddenly here's the moment of truth where I gotta walk out there and perform one of Elvis's most iconic moments, and it was terrifying. But right before I walked out, it really hit me that while this feels like a make-or-break moment in my life and in my career, this was a make-or-break moment in Elvis's life and in his career. And so it wasn't that I needed to not have that fear. It was the same thing in a way that he was feeling. So I could take that and then go out there and learn from him, which was he always built a rapport with the audience. And once you start feeling the love of the audience, or you start seeing genuine smiles or a girl blushing, it just it transcends what I felt that moment would be, and so this was a magical day for me, and yeah, very fun to do. Yeah, so this look took about 5 hours in the chair, I believe, in the morning, because they're very subtle prosthetics that I had in this moment, and just to get everything right. Yeah, I think it was about somewhere between 4 and 6 hours, I think I was in the chair. Yeah, so you get there really early in the morning. Oh, this look, wow, this is interesting you chose this one. This was the first time I actually ever went to a fashion week. This was in Milan, and this was going to the Dolce & Gabbana show. I just sort of, yeah, I remember, this is funny, this is a long time ago, but I remember the comfort. This was like a silk shirt, and it just was so comfortable. It was like wearing a pajama top. And after this, I went on a month-long road trip through Italy, and it was the greatest trip I ever have taken. It was just glorious because I didn't have a plan, so I just booked a plane ticket a month later out of Rome, and then would just decide where to go. And so rented a car and just drove, and would drive down to, drove all the way down the Riviera and through Tuscany, and it was, I'd been to any of those places, and it was so cool. So that was a magical time. I forget how many years ago that was. You chose a lot of interesting choices that I wouldn't have expected. So this is from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is yeah, I was playing Tex Watson here, and often people will not know that this was me. I did this because I feel like I look quite different. I got the dark long hair, and they asked me to grow out facial hair, which, especially at this time, it didn't grow out thick at all, and then they darkened it, and so I looked really ratty, and they made my teeth all gross, and yeah, but I like the cowboy hat, and I still have the cowboy boots I wore in this to this day. I still wear those. This was a surreal moment for me because it was such a dream come true, because I was about 12 years old when I printed out the Pulp Fiction script, and I would drive to auditions with my mom. or we drive to acting class or something. And because we lived in Orange County and we had to drive up to LA. It was wildly inappropriate, but I would read the Pulp Fiction script out loud to my mom, and I just loved it. It was like, it became my favorite. The idea of the brilliance of writing in a film, I don't think I'd ever fully grasped that before. And then suddenly I thought, I gotta read the words that led to this movie being made. And so from about that age, it was always my dream to work with Quentin. And at a certain point, I started seeing that, you know, he says he's only gonna do 10 films, and I was going, oh man, I'm running out of time. And I was doing a play in New York called The Iceman Cometh with Denzel, and I was in the middle of the run, and I got this call that Quentin was casting a part, and I was at the right age for it, and so I put myself on tape for it right before going to the theater, and I thought, I'm just gonna send that out. I have no idea what's gonna happen. And then he responded to it, and he wanted me to fly out and meet him in LA, but I was doing the play, and so I only had one day off, and it was Monday, and so I finished the play on a Sunday. I flew to LA. I got a couple hours of sleep. I woke up the next day and met with Quentin. I didn't even know what part I was auditioning for. And he comes in and he gives the pages and he describes the character and stuff. And he says, I'll be back in an hour. Work on it for an hour and come back and I'll watch. And he comes back and he doesn't tape the audition. He just kind of walks around you and looks at your face and while you're doing the scene. And because even on set, he stands beside the camera. He doesn't look at a monitor. I ended up auditioning basically that entire day. They take away your phone, so that way you can't take a picture of the script at all. And by about 9 p.m. that night, Quentin gave me the part. I flew back and did the play on a Tuesday, and I was just floating on cloud 9 because I was about to get to work with my hero. So that was cool. Thank you for watching, and I hope you make it to the cinema and get to see Elvis there, because it sure is a spectacle. So, thank you.